All right, welcome everybody. I suppose, Brian, this must be the second part of that stretch you were talking about last week, huh? That stretch we had. Oh, Eric, yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. So anyway, I think I'll start out with our injury situation. I think that Mikael Wilbon has gotten better, and we'll see how he rolls this week and see what kind of work he can do today. And actually maybe the same thing with Trey Bryant. You know, there's a real mystery there on how that is and how much he'll do, if anything, today, but we'll see. You know, Aaron Williams has had the muscle soft tissue neck deal that we have to get settled down, so I don't think he'll work today. Josh Kalu, Chris Jones, Marcus Newby made it through, and hopefully we're better for that with those guys playing. Antonio Reed hurt his knee. I would say at this time that he's questionable, leaning to doubtful for the weekend. I don't think any questions on any other guys. David Neville should be healthiest that he's been for a while today in practice. Cole Conrad has had that ankle. He returned it last week sometime, but he should be better today. Any questions about that? Wisconsin review. You know, you know, when you look at statistics and you see that one team ran for 360 and the other team didn't, it's not hard to pick the winner. So, you know, in talking about that, I will say that on our side, Devine ran hard and had some good runs. In our running game, we are just, it's feast or famine. It's, you know, some good runs, but too many nothing runs. So we've got to be more consistent in our running game. The early pick six obviously hurt us. And starting out, you know, we had a couple good plays and a good drive started. We're in a position to get some points, and then we allowed that to happen. And then, you know, this was part of it. You're in the red zone and you're 1 for 3 in a game like that. That's not good. Our second half production was obviously telltale in the ending of the game and how it finished. And, you know, we had some good moments on the teams, special teams, but failed on a couple of great chances to put the ball inside the 10. So, you know, you know, I think that those kinds of situations in that game with the other team, the way they were, those are all big. I think that in looking at all that, there were some guys that really had good games. I think you have to make note of Luke Gifford's game for sure. He is, I think, getting better all the time and really has found a home in this defense. Chris Weber had a good game. Dedrick Young might have had his best game. Aaron Williams made plays. Josh Kalu made a lot of plays. You know, Tanner Lee, considering all, made some really good throws and really hung in there with, you know, we didn't get any sacks, but that doesn't mean he wasn't harassed or hit, and he hung in great shape and made plays. Devine ran hard. Actually, we had some good play from receivers making some plays. DeMornay made some plays. J.D. Spielman obviously is being productive for us, and Stanley had his plays, so they were good. And Caleb Lightborn, I think that as we go with Caleb, you know, there's definitely improvement in his consistency, but consistency is the thing that he has to shoot for to be that guy. But we see, you know, in that game you can see the talent that's there, and he really hit the ball well a few times. You know, I think that in answer to, you know, what happened in the run defense, you know, when you're playing a team like that, that is a condensed offensive team, tight ends involved, sometimes the receivers in tight involved, the magnitude of not being in a gap or being in position by this much on the wrong side of the head of somebody it can be magnified into plays. And it was magnified in big plays. That one particularly before the half, you know, there was a couple of points in there that you all know that I don't have to go back over that were major parts in the game when we hit the pass and then they responded with the run. When we had the pick for 6 for our own and they responded with that drive, those were crucial times, difference-making times in the game, and they made it and we didn't. So, you know, and then I think sometimes when you're struggling run defense, then somebody's trying to overcompensate and not, you know, it's got to be real team defense along the boards, and we weren't always perfect in that way. Somebody's trying to overcompensate for what's happened, and it gets you into more trouble. Ohio State preview, you know, there's not much not to say, I think, about the way they're playing right now. They're playing at a high level since that one loss and outscoring opponents. You know, they're versatile and productive offensively in almost every category, near the top of everything. Same thing defensively. So it's a major challenge for us. You know, I know there'll be a question about where our team is mentally, and I think this group will come back and work hard today. We're working to get this team better each day, and we'll do that through the week, and they'll be ready for their best on Saturday night. So from there, I'll open it up to questions.
In your game review, you didn't mention either any of the offensive or defensive line. What was your thoughts about the way that they played in the game?
You know, there were there were moments that I think both sides of the ball we did okay, but I would probably leave it at that with both sides of the ball. I think that you know, that when we're talking about those things defensively, playing that gap responsibility, being in the right position, not getting reached, I think that, you know, I don't really want to single anybody out because everybody had their moments and some good ones, but again, the consistency of doing it was probably the key factor there, and then probably the same thing on the offensive line. We had our moments. We had some good-looking run plays. The protection in general was better, and you know, we didn't get sacked, but that doesn't hide from the fact that it wasn't all perfect either. So when I single out players that had good games, that's for a reason that's above level, people that I think you should know about. If I don't mention them, then there's some inconsistencies involved for anybody else. So I'm pretty specific with those names that I do mention as having good games.
When it comes to the defensive line, Ohio State's coming in here. They've had traditionally good defensive line for several years now, a lot of NFL draft picks. Same is true of Wisconsin. How far are you guys in terms of your development of getting the kind of Big Ten stout NFL caliber players, defensive line that you want for the future, in terms of your defensive line and maybe even your outside linebackers who sometimes play right on the line of scrimmage?
That's a great question, especially with the morphing into the new defense. I think the recruitment of those kinds of players, Sam, and they're different. That boundary linebacker is probably that guy that might be considered that hybrid type guy that plays some pass, more in the mix. And where we are in that development, I think that we have players in that mode of development now, you know, that are relatively young in it, you know, as we go forward. And probably I'd say the same thing as we develop through the whole group in the offensive line. You know, there are some of those guys that might be considered as they're older right now and as they get to their finishing point. But you hit the nail on the head as far as where we have to go now. You know, we as we look at the future and recruit, you know, it has to be a balanced class between skill players that we get, big skill players that we get, and maybe you're talking about those outside linebacker types, and then as we have seen and saw, you know, you've got to get the linemen. I think that you know, the development of that Wisconsin line is through the years. I mean, it hasn't changed much from when Paul was there as a coordinator to leaving to coming back. It's that same growth, and it hasn't changed much. So that is a big emphasis for us in the future recruitment of the guys that we need to go to that next level.
Mike, you mentioned the confidence and the mental state and what have you. You know, the old adage of not having one loss, make it 2 losses. You know,
Right.
Is that up to the coaches and the players, or how do you get this team? Not to
Andy, I think that it's everybody. I think the coach's energy and preparation and getting ready for the next game is many times when you have, like I believe we have a good solid group of kids, they'll feed off of that. And I think that I would be surprised anyway, in a sense, that this team hasn't changed much from the beginning of how they've come to work every day. So, you know, it's definitely something you have to keep an eye on at this stage of the year. What is a disappointing loss and another great opponent following right away. I think that there has to be real energy and excitement to the learning of an opportunity here in order to succeed. So, and I know the staff will be like that, and I really trust that the players will be too.
With Trey Bryant, have there been any discussions, or is there a cutoff where he could be considered for a medical redshirt?
Absolutely. We're going to be really careful with every decision made about Trey Bryant. You know, first of all, you know, we want him to feel good and healthy if he does indeed play again. And then that next part of your question about redshirting would be a discussion with our staff, and then obviously with him and his family.
And then with Chris Jones, I know he got out there a little bit Saturday. What do you kind of foresee for him? Do you want to just keep building up his snap count gradually, or?
Well, Chris Jones gives us exactly what we anticipated in the spring, you know, and I don't think, again, he's ready for just that full-time, all-the-time status, but the ability to rotate and play 4 corners instead of 3, to let guys concentrate on boundary corner, field corner, and focus on that is a real bonus for us right now. Again, we feel like there's 4 guys there that can functionally rotate in the game like that. That's a good thing.
Do you guys even use or take a look at last year's tape of the Ohio State game?
There wasn't a lot there that's going to be real exciting that we say, well, this was a good thing. But we look at it, you know, we look at it because they'll look at it, and we review it, and basically see now we're different a little bit offensively and defensively, so it's that part of it may not be as helpful as it once would have been, right?
With Luke Gifford and Marcus, do we rotating part of that? Is that mostly just position based and where you have now, or did you be thinking about taking a little bit of workload off of them?
You know, I think that our initial plan going into the season with Luke and Marcus was they play the same position. They're both doing well. And if we could help them physically by rotating them through the year, that was the initial plan. Same position, good players. Let's keep them fresh and playing throughout the game. They both had injury issues in the past. We thought this might help in that regard too.
Mike, what's this running back for Ohio State look like compared to Wisconsin running back number 23?
When they're good, they're good. You know, you're kind of apples and oranges. You know, and coupled with some of the stuff they obviously do with their quarterback, it makes it one more step. You know, that you have to defend. But he's a real good player.
How have you seen Ohio State kind of wake up since that Oklahoma loss? It seems like the last few weeks they've really poured it on.
Yeah, they really have. There's no doubt about it. I think that they've been hitting on all cylinders for sure. Defensively playing fast, and they're talented, and they play fast, and they're well coached, and same thing offensively.
What about JT Barrett? I mean, what's jumped out to you? This will be your second time facing off against him.
Guy's had a lot of experience playing football, and I think that it shows more and more all the time. I think that the comfort level he has is high.
Mike, the atmosphere Saturday night was pretty electric. What message do you have for the fans this Saturday night at Memorial Stadium?
I think that that kind of atmosphere, that kind of crowd, that kind of excitement is the identity of Nebraska, and the whole country sees it, and I know they'll bring it again.
Back to the defensive lineman for a second. How long do you think it takes when you get a group of young guys like the Davis twins?
Yeah.
DeAndre and Damien, those guys. How long do you think it takes to kind of incubate it, get it? All right, this is where we want.
I think that it's a real good question, Sam. How long does it take a group? Individually, it's different, right? I think what the Davis twins are doing today will be great for them tomorrow. And tomorrow, I'm talking about the future. I think that they both have ability. They're both really getting their feet wet a lot more than ever, getting to play and playing really, really serious minutes and play numbers in games. I think that'll do nothing but help them, and I think their future physical development, they're going to be that much different next year. A guy like DeAndre Thomas gave us a great curveball to play now. Would he be better off in the weight room as a red shirt? Maybe, but he's a factor how he is. And then a guy like Damian Daniels could be playing physically right now, but this year will do him good. And the impact that he would have right now at that particular position wouldn't be as big as it will be next year. So the group in total, I think, as you go, that should grow year to year in a good way with those young players we just mentioned like that. And then how we have to complement it is that group that's developing right on the perimeter of them, that outside linebacker group.
You talked about the good that carries over the course of a game or over the course of weeks does for a running back. Do you see Divine running differently now than a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, I think he came on with a bang, right? I think he came on when he played physical, and I think that has continued. And I think that running backs kind of feed off the experience of playing. So I anticipate him continuing to do well.
In these moments when you're coming off a tough loss, another good opponent obviously coming in this weekend, what do you guys fall back on as a team to say, we're going to get back up and be competitive?
Well, I think that it starts with a makeup of the character of the team from the very beginning on how you respond to different things, because there's always some stuff usually in seasons that are going to be good and some things that are not going to be so good. So, I think that it's not something that is just invented overnight, but something built up through time. And that's why I think this team will respond. And the whole focus has always been about finding those things you can get better at during the week. And then obviously the coaching staff putting together that specific game plan that fits that next opponent that these kids can latch onto and then execute during the week. And so it's a process of every week building confidence. Sometimes it is harder because you come off of a loss and you wonder how that's going to be. But if you've built up a foundation of this is how we do things and we don't have to change it because of how we feel, that we're stronger than that, and we've built that up, then you have a good chance of getting ready to play the next game and win.
Coach, you said Ohio State is kind of the standard a couple times over the last maybe year and a half. Whenever you play Ohio State, do you measure your team's success to the standard?
Well, I think that is that probably is a good thing that you have to do, for sure. And, you know, because that's where we want to go. And if you want to win the championship, then you look at that team that's been at least up in there competing for that for quite a few years now. And, you know, I think I've said to this group before, I've experienced that before. As one team rises like that, they've been there for a while now, but as one team rises like that, you take a look and you either get better or you get left in the dust. And so, you know, SC did that when Pete went in there and changed that landscape like that. And I think it made the whole conference stronger. And I think you're seeing that in this league. But yes, you have to take a look at that. All right. Good to see you guys. Thank you.